believe that men and women should be treated equally, have equal opportunity, 100%. And I don't believe that we should be treated the same because we're not the same. Men and women, completely different. So, the goal of the show is to take what has become a very competitive dynamic between men and women and shift that into one that is cooperative and collaborative. Hello, and welcome to We Don't Deserve Men. I am your host, Kayla Yoder, and I wanted to give a little bit of an overview of the show and what it's all about before we dive in. We Don't Deserve Men is all about healing this divide between men and women and really taking that dynamic that we currently have that's quite competitive and shifting that to be a relationship of cooperation. So, first of all, let's talk about the name. We Don't Deserve Men. I believe that we're all deserving of one another. And the name stems from feeling like we, based on the way that we're acting and treating men and this kind of overarching narrative of being superior to men in kind of this women's empowerment movement, in my opinion, when we are in that narrative, we don't deserve men. Now, this is quite controversial. And I'm absolutely here for equality. I believe that men and women should be treated equally, have equal opportunity, 100%. And I don't believe that we should be treated the same because we're not the same. Men and women, completely different. So, the goal of the show is to take what has become a very competitive dynamic between men and women and shift that into one that is cooperative and collaborative and it's loving and has respect and trust. So, that is the goal of the show. And I do believe that there are so many reasons why we've gotten to this place. And we're here now. Let's discover how to move through it together. I grew up with a stay at home dad, which was unheard of in the 90s. It was very rare and it was amazing. I am super close with my dad. I always have been. He's like my ride or die. And I am very grateful that I've grown up with such amazing men who have done nothing but love me and support me. Now, just because I've loved men does not mean that I've understood men because I was never taught to understand men. I think that maybe growing up with a brother and a dad certainly helped, but we may as well be different species as men and women. So I started digging into men and learning more about men about 5 years ago. And I really dove into a lot of experts in the field, a lot of their work, a lot of different books. And then I started doing my own research, anecdotal research, and talking to men all over the world in different cultures, in different countries, and asking them questions about their experience and how they see the world, how they relate to women. And it was really fascinating. And I've learned so much. And I continue to learn every day, every week. I'm constantly asking all the men in my life plenty of questions to better understand them. I don't ever think that I will fully understand men because I'm not a man. And that's beautiful. But I love learning more. So I decided to start this show. I thought, hey, if I enjoy learning so much about men, if I'm overwhelmed by what I'm learning and feeling so much gratitude and love for the way that men show up in the world, maybe other women will have the same experience. So this show is going to be a space to really uncover the differences between men and women, to better understand each other's experiences, to share vulnerably about really what's going on for us, how our modern day narratives are really affecting the relationship and the perception that men have of women or that women have of men, and seek to find solutions to heal that and to become more cooperative instead of constantly trying to compete with one another. We've been in this narrative of women's empowerment movement, really talking about how women don't need men. And then, furthermore, how women are kind of quote unquote the superior gender, which I don't agree with. I think that we're all amazing and we have different strengths and weaknesses. Right now, men and women are bringing out the worst in one another. And I truly believe that we have the capacity to bring out the best in one another. In fact, I don't even think that men and women can be their best selves without each other. And so I'm just here to facilitate, to ask the questions, to help to discover solutions. So if you are up for this ride and you want to discover solutions to this competitive dynamic that we have with one another, then please join us. Please listen. Please follow along. Please send feedback. I will be interviewing a series of men, women, but the goal will remain the same to really bridge the gap between men and women, help us to have better understanding of one another. I think that's one of the biggest issues is that we just don't really understand the other's experience. To clear up those assumptions, to have the challenging conversations, to ask the questions that we're afraid to ask, and to shed a light on kind of those chinks in the chain, the things that are really getting in the way from us having that cooperative dynamic. If there are any topics that you would love to hear more about, or you have questions or a thought on how this adversarial competitive nature between men and women is manifesting in the world and you want it to be addressed on the show, please send me a note, send me an email. I will put all of the links on how you can get a hold of me in the show notes. And I appreciate you listening.